There's been a whole lot of talk going around the internet about these plastic upper control arms from Ram trucks. Today, we are going to take a hacksaw, section this thing off. That's really interesting. Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in, back with another video a day till this channel hits 100K. I saw this a few weeks ago from Tim at Pickup Truck and SUV Talk on his YouTube channel. On paper, this should be probably just fine. I don't totally love it, but before I say I don't love it, I do like to form my opinion based on reality, which is why I want to cut this thing in half. Ball joint removed. Now the reason why this is probably okay is because an upper control arm itself really isn't carrying a ton of the shock load. If you look at any modern vehicle and you start looking at like even the heavier like Raptors or TRXs, those kinds of trucks, the upper control arms really aren't anything all that much more beefier, but the lower control arms absolutely are. Those are what's taking a bunch of the beating. Because really what this is doing for the upper control arm is it's really just actually acting as a guide as that wheel is kind of going up and down to keep alignment. The only time this is really going to take any real shock loading is going to be if you take a hit at the top side of your tire, where it's going to want to take that steering knuckle, not your wheel that's out here, but the steering knuckle, and push in. For the most part, your wheel is actually going up and down, and this is just kind of acting as a guide. But I think the reason why people are really hating on this thing is I think it's a little more nuanced than that. For years, we have been sold engineering in a way that is like to benefit us, the consumer, and it hasn't always worked out that way. Typically speaking, what's happening in a lot of engineering decisions is that costs are trying to be cut in manufacturing because, well, they kind of have to. I made a video recently talking about how I don't think trucks are actually overpriced for what they are today, but they also start doing stuff like this that makes you go like, well, I don't quite know. Going back, I don't even know how long. It's been a long time, but I'll just start with things like active fuel management. That was all stuff that was sold as a fuel savings type measure, but a lot of us back in the General Motors era when they had that fuel saving technology started noticing a lot of other problems down the road, where cutting 4 cylinders was actually causing other weird issues, harmonic issues, engine reliability issues, but it was sold as a fuel saving measure. But a lot of people really didn't see that much fuel savings compared to say like a 5.3 from the generation before it. Well, now recently, with a lot of pretty much every major manufacturer has had these massive engine recalls. GM recently has this new active fuel management that can actually run theoretically on 1 cylinder. The problem is a lot of those vehicles are trying to now run on 0 cylinders because they're all just blowing up. That technology, which is basically being implemented for these manufacturers to save on CAFE standards, to shave off 1/10 of an mpg on their rating, because across all of their fleet, it makes a huge difference for them. But as the consumer, you're actually getting a worse product or less reliable product for it. And that's where I think stuff like this starts to become the problem. If you start to peel back the layers, you start really being able to ask, like, who is this really for? Ultimately, it's like a lot of automotive gaslighting going on right now. And I think that's the real biggest takeaway on this upper control arm, even if it's okay, is just all of the automotive engineering gaslighting that's been going on for decades about how this product is going to be better for us, but then we end up getting this product and it has a bunch of reliability issues, and it just kind of sold a bill of goods that isn't real. So is this a big deal? I don't really know. They have this whole stamped in ball joint. Is this better? Is this worse? I don't know. I actually don't even see a seam at the top here, but I'm gonna tell you there's probably gotta be one just from pressing in ball joints myself, maybe not. We'll cut it open and see exactly, is that all integrated, or what I presume is happening here is that they're actually taking a traditional ball joint, pressing into what I believe is steel up here, we'll get a magnet in a minute, and then injecting the plastic afterwards, which then encapsulates this ball joint, and they say that that reduces play. I don't know, I'm not buying it. I feel like they're doing this because having a stamped steel arm here and then injection molding this with plastic is probably a cheaper construction for them. And it probably does, engineering wise, hold up just fine. But I don't think that the idea, this is my opinion, that somehow this plastic is going to be a much more firm hold than pressing a ball joint in with a ball joint press into a metal full steel upper control arm or even aluminum. I just don't think that plastic is that good. I don't. With that said, let's cut into this thing and see what is this thing all about. These bushings are actually 100% encased in metal. There is no plastic there, and it's welded together here. So the idea that these are encased in plastic is not the case. And also this ball joint up here is stamped, it looks like into or pressed into the steel, and then the plastic piece here is just injection molded around the part. If I grab my little parts organizer here, you'll see magnetic sticks to the ball joint. Obviously there's metal here, so it's gonna stick. This is all metal that is encased or encasing the actual plastic. There's actually quite a bit more metal here than I thought I was going to see when I got my hands on this thing. So let's put it in here and we'll make our first cut. It's the easiest way to grab this guy. Throw on some safety glasses. Well, that's it. That's really interesting. What the heck? This is not what I was expecting to find. Why don't they say something about this? This is like an extrusion. The plastic is only here. The rest of it's all hollow. I mean, that's just hollow metal. I mean, that to me is like no different than any other hollow metal. Why is there just plastic on just the bottom? Now I really want to see what's going on to the ball joint, because this profile gets thinner as it gets to here. What is going on here? That's really bizarre to me. I know I sound like I'm actually being like surprised negatively, but I'm actually surprised positively. This, as a, again, not a really load bearing, it's carrying some load, but there's metal that goes all the way around. It's like it's completely encased. I actually thought it was just going to be a U shape, 100% full of plastic, but it's like fully boxed basically. That's bizarre. I'm going to make a cut closer to the ball joint here and see what's going on. We'll cut the ball joint right out. Ball joint removed. So now we can see exactly what's going on with this thing, and I think it actually looks better than what was sort of sold, because here you have a fully boxed steel component, and there's just this plastic piece that seems like it's really more for the ball joint than it is even really structural at all, because this is the ball joint end. You can see this is where the ball joint came out of. Now the plastic is keeping the metal here. It's basically just keeping that from pushing in on itself, but I don't see that ever even happening. Around here again, if I look at the ball joint end, I can shine a light through here and you can see the light comes through, but there is still steel that is fully boxed around the plastic. So, well, I'm sorry, the steel is fully boxed around itself, and then the plastic is just injected in the bottom of the part. So this isn't nearly as much plastic as I was actually anticipating getting into. I don't know why they don't come out and actually do this themselves and show a cross section and say, the plastic itself really isn't even all that structural. There still is almost just as much steel as would be in a regular steel upper control arm, with the addition of a plastic component. That's the way that I see it. But again, as I said earlier in this video, I think people are just hypersensitive to this kind of stuff because of how much engineering has turned around to kind of bite us, the consumers, on the back end after we're sold the overly hyped up marketing version of why they make these decisions the way they do. So really, really, really interesting. This is more interesting than I thought it was when I was watching the videos going, I better order that part because I want to take a look and see what's going on. This just isn't as bad as I would have thought. Now, I would actually probably say I would almost like to see them inject the entire thing with plastic. I mean, what's stopping them from doing that and saying that it's actually a fully boxed with a plastic injection to make it strong? That seems like if you wanted to add a plastic component, maybe that would be the better way to go about saying it, is like, we've combined steel and plastics to achieve whatever, a lighter weight. So they could basically come out, if I was Ram, I would say, I want to take this part and I'm actually going to re-engineer it. I'm going to fill it with plastic to make the part lighter, because this from the outside looks bad. It looks bad. I think this looks cheap, but cutting it apart, I don't know. I'm not all that upset about it. So I don't know, guys. Very interesting. I enjoy cutting stuff apart to make sure that I have an informed opinion, and hopefully I've helped provide a little bit of context for you guys as well. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. These videos aren't cheap to make. I just destroyed a perfectly good part for the sake of YouTube content. So see you guys tomorrow.